song, freedom, land of the revolution. We won, if we don't get what we want, we fight on. The time has come for some freedom, land of the revolution. We won, if we don't get what we want, we fight
on. All right. You're somewhere safe now?
Yes. So they didn't follow me. And again,
Good.
like, you know, I don't want to overestimate, or overstate anything, but I've never been the type of person where you're like, oh my God, the cops are going to leave, right? Like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I would rather you not underestimate.
Yeah, well, when you realize, when you understand that they are there not to help you, but they are there as a militia against you, that's where it gets scary, and you need to pay attention to that, right? Like, I can't ignore the evidence that these people had me imprisoned, not in Connecticut, but in New York. But in Connecticut, the officers refused to take police reports. So I reported the evidence of domestic violence, of financial abuse, the coercive control, which in Connecticut, there is a law of a coercive control law. And they refuse. They won't even help me get an order of protection against my husband for the coercive control. It's sick. Wow. It's fucking sick. So anyway, I am safe. Thank you.
Good.
I went to a new location.
Good.
So, but
I don't remember where we were at. Go ahead.
I hope think you do. Where we left off was I got out of the solitary confinement. I then filed a federal lawsuit against them. They then had me kidnap the defendants in my federal lawsuit. The defendant police officers kidnapped me. And again, don't believe me, please watch the video for yourself and see the kidnapping. I'm sitting in my car talking about how I have to go in and get these papers from them, and how, like, I'm so positive, but yay, now that I filed this federal lawsuit, they're going to start acting lawfully. No, but that was like my naivete. Like, I keep thinking, like, this is my one thing. Like, what do you think you've done wrong? I underestimated their evil. I really did. In every turn, I thought, well, now they're going to act like good people. Now they're going to care. Now they're going to, and they haven't, they don't. That's not what they're there for. So, anyway, I then filed the federal lawsuit on March 8th. March 9th, I got kidnapped. I got put back in prison with no criminal charges. Then involuntarily committed by the defendant judge in my case, where I was then forced medications at that same facility, which my husband had contracted with 8 months earlier. I mean, it's so obvious. It's just stupid. Do you know what I mean? So I then was forced medication by the same judge, Ann E. Minahan, who is the judge that held the bail hearing when misdemeanors don't require bail. Right? When she should have said, this is ridiculous. What is she doing in here, and throw all these charges out, and instead held a bail hearing. That judge, lo and behold, when I'm trying to have a hearing to be released because they didn't have the hearing, within 5 days, she instead holds a medication over objection hearing. And she just randomly happens to be the same judge appointed to it, even though she's not the judge that's on the mental health and hygiene cases. Right? It's a very specific, narrow list of judges there. So she then forces me medications over objection. And again, 49 years old, no medications my whole life. They put me on lithium, Haldol injections, Zyprexa, Cogentin, Ativan, Benadryl, and at much higher dosage than, I'm about 110, 115 pounds. And, if you're normal.
I think I had Haldol once over a tooth thing. It's like a date rape drug. It might be a different drug, but if it's what I'm thinking it is, that was terrifying.
Yeah, it basically paralyzes you.
Yeah.
And it puts you in a state of anxiety and terror, basically. It's like the least helpful. I mean, like, just look up Haldol. So what they would do is they would say, you have to take these other drugs. And if you don't take these other drugs, then we're going to hold you down and inject you with Haldol. It's sick. It's just all coercion. So, yeah, they had me on, I think like they put me on 750 milligrams of lithium, like straight out of the gate, like dangerous. Like you're supposed to like, yeah, it's really bad. These people are just sick. It was a prescription for modern day lobotomy.
Right.
They were just trying to basically get you to break. Yeah. They just wanted me to break, and I wouldn't break. And instead what I did, you know, I have this belief that I firmly believe, I know that our body built our whole body. Okay. Everybody thinks like, oh, your mom made you a baby. No. Your mom gave you an egg, your dad gave you a sperm, and then you made you took those things and you grew from that and you made your whole body, right? So you built your eyeballs, you built your tongue, you built your stomach, you built your brain, right? Your brain built your brain. Like you're like, wait, think about that. And then you're like, oh no, actually that's true. Like that's crazy. That's really true. So knowing that, I feel that our body actually, just like a car mechanic that built a car from the ground up, and they can basically fix anything that goes wrong with it. I believe the same thing is true with our bodies, that we have the full capacity to be able to heal ourselves from any illnesses, and that we're only limited by two things. One is our conscious beliefs that we superimpose upon our subconscious beliefs, right? And upon our subconscious powers, right? It's almost like slamming the door and locking it, right? So even if you have the capabilities behind that door, if I won't let that through, it doesn't go through. So I think our conscious beliefs stop our healing powers. And I think our trauma, which we also store in our subconscious, limits our healing powers. So if we can
I would throw out their demons as well.
Yes. Yeah. So if we can uproot that trauma, and if we can get rid of any of our indoctrinated preconceived notions, and we just say to our body, you know, we can't lie and be like, oh, I know you can do this. Like, you instead have to be really honest and say, listen, I don't know if you can cure cancer or not. I don't know, but I know placebos work. And placebo is nothing other than just the sheer thought that the brain thinks that something's working makes that very same thing work. So therefore, it would make sense that you were able to do this if you wanted to. So I don't know how you can, what I said to my body, I don't know how you can take this poison that I'm forced to take and make it stay in my bloodstream, because they have to have a certain blood level or they're not going to let me out of here, right? So I don't know how you can give me the poison, make it stay in this bloodstream, but make it not cross my blood-brain barrier. And I don't need to know. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job. That's your job, body. You figure that out. But I'm about to take this poison.
Right.
And I want you to shit it right out. I want you to not let it cross the blood-brain barrier. I want you to not let it debilitate me. And yet give it to me in my bloodstream so that I can get out of here. And that's what I did every single day. I had to take this medicine. They would force you, and then they would like inspect your mouth. Right. And it was heavy duty stuff. Like, and the other thing that I did is I knew what the side effects of these medicines were. And I knew that there was a lot of gross motor skill and fine motor skill issues, and ataxia. So I would take the medicine, I would do my meditation, I would pray, and then I would do like yoga. I do like tree pose and, balancing poses and things like that would focus on that part of the brain. And while I was doing those things, I would send myself these messages. You're strong. You're going to get through this. This isn't going to affect you long-term. And, this is all, you're going to be fine. And it helped. I was able to survive. So, and then as soon as I get out, and they also say, like, whatever you do, don't just stop your medicine because it'll make you go crazy. I just threw it all away. I never took it again. I never even looked at it again. I don't So the only times that I've been ever on anything was when I was forced this medication by judicial order from defendants and nefarious related parties in my federal cases. It's absolutely batshit crazy. And so, I got out of there on April 2nd. On April 16th, I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden 2 cop cars swarm me. and they go, get out of the car, get out of the car. And again, I would recommend that people really watch these videos. There's 5 videos. They're each 20
which
seconds
one is
each.
that?
If you can put them on, it says April 16th.
Okay. Okay, there's 6 videos under April 16th.
Yep. So just if you want to show those, they're each only like 20 seconds long, but
Okay.
They
All right.
really help to capture.
I'm going to try and open these in order then here. Oops.
But again, the volume is what's important on this, because you can hear me say, they're like, get out of the car, get out of the car. And I'm like, why? And they're like, we don't have to tell you, just get out of the car.
And so again, I can hear it on my side. It's really loud on my side. I don't know why it's not on your side, but I will put the link in the description as well. And I'm thinking and hoping that people will be able to hear it. Yeah. Okay, I've got those lined up here. Let me do a screen share. You want me to do that now?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so I hope these are in order.
This is Detective Sergeant Galbraith. This is the same one who, through my husband's pedophilia case, refused to take the testimony, refused to take evidence, wouldn't take any of the videos. And then he was the one that kidnapped me on March 9th.
Mm-hmm.
Can I help you, sir?
Detective Galbraith from Briarcliff.
Yes, why? I know who you are, sir. Why am I...
You gotta come on out. We gotta talk to you.
Why am I being pulled over, sir?
We're gonna explain everything as soon as you step on out. We're not going anywhere. We're gonna stay here all night until you come on out of the car.
Can you just talk to me, sir, so I can understand why you pulled me over?
You can record when you come on out.
Okay, but I've got Sergeant Salov, and what's that other officer's name? Okay, I'd rather wait till I have a witness here, sir. They're just saying, get out of the car, Elizabeth. And Detective Galbraith, he's pretending that I don't know who he is. Yeah, because you can hear how terrifying that is, right?
Yeah. You said I'm not going anywhere until I have a witness.
Why are you arresting me? Are you arresting me? We don't have to tell you. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car, and we'll tell you. And again, I complied, where I should have said, do you have a warrant?
Right.
If you don't have a warrant, this is an illegal search and seizure.
Right.
And
I don't answer any questions. I'd like my counsel. Yeah.
This is Elizabeth Harding Weinstein. I'm being told that I have to get out of the car, and they're arresting me, but they're not telling me why. And they're just telling me that I'm going to be arrested, and that now they're saying I'm refusing to comply with orders because I'm asking them to tell me why I'm being arrested. Right there. So he starts trying to accuse me of being mentally unstable. He's like, oh, you're not following orders. Are you on any drugs? Are you not able to understand the words that I'm saying? Like, it's sick.
Okay. Here we go.
Any distress? Do you need anything kind of help? Because usually people comply with law enforcement when they ask you to do something.
Understood,
Are you under
sir.
any kind of medication or any kind of alcohol or drugs at this time?
No, sir, and I am
Okay, then why are
actually
you
not
complying with our orders?
because I'm trying to get in touch.
We are requesting you to step out of the vehicle because you are under arrest.
Okay,
and
you have
are
made
now
some.
not complying with us.
Sir, you've made some unlawful orders previously,
Well, then follow
and I'm
what
only
we're
trying.
asking for you
Excuse
to
me,
do.
I allowed you to speak. Let me
Okay.
speak, please.
So you're
you've
refusing to come out of the car?
no,
You
you're
are not
grossly
complying.
mischaracterization. Okay, I'm getting out of the car. I'm just trying to reach my lawyers because previously you don't allow me to call a lawyer and get in touch with anybody. And you'll see, there's like they had like 6 different cops there. They brought the chief of police there. It's sick.
And so what was this over? I mean,
So what happened was, while they had me falsely imprisoned in that psychiatric facility, all of my orders of protection expired. Now remember, the orders of protection only said that I wrote him too many emails that caused him to be nervous, anxious, distracted, and fearful. And that's why I haven't been able to see my kids directly since June 2020. It's sick. It's stupid. Mm-hmm. It's like laughable, right? So now they said that they issued a new order of protection, but the judge never served me the order of protection. She just uploaded it onto the electronic filing system on April 16th.
Service.
And then sorry, it's like blinking lights. I was like,
yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
She uploaded this order of protection on April 16th, never served it to me. And they then arrested me and said that the order was backdated through December. So April 16th, they issued it on April 16th, backdated December 20th, 2020, or December 4th, 2020, and then said I violated it 2 weeks earlier when there was no order of protection on April 5th.
Wow.
And how did I violate it? I posted a picture of my children. And you have these documents in that email. If you want to go to this, actually,
Okay.
You'll see it'll say PDF at the end.
Yep. Oh wait. Yeah, the ex parte,
Yep.
ex
Ex parte, ex post facto. Ex post facto means it's backdated. Now, by black letter law, ex post facto is unconstitutional. You can't say, "Oh,
I've issued an order and you didn't even know that it existed, and you violated something that didn't even freaking exist before."
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly, and that goes all the way back to our Magna Carta. You understand?
Yeah.
All the way back to the Magna Carta. So it's well-established law. But the problem is, I've sent these to the judges to say, like, this is absolutely insane. And yeah, so click on this. So this is March 4th. Now, this is Brian's lawyer, this really dirty lawyer, Kitson Law Firm, Pat Kitson, who is conflicted, by the way, because I contracted with her back in June of 2020, and then she went and hired my husband hired her in September 2020, which is completely unconstitutional.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's
That's illegal. Yeah.
Right. But they won't disqualify her. So this Dina Kaplan comes on, and she's asking for this new order of protection. She's like, it's so important that you just extend it. They can't just extend an order of protection, right?
Well, not without
They're
a
not
hearing.
supposed to. It's supposed to be temporary,
Right.
but she's asking for it. So it shows how, like, they're used to the court for unlawful purposes. Now scroll down.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see March 4th, they ask for it. And then she copies an order of the ex parte order of protection from December. Okay. So keep scrolling.
Okay.
Okay.
Need to move
And
up.
then, yep, and keep scrolling. And so then I write back and I was like, to extend such an order without an opportunity to be heard is an unlawful request of the court. And it demonstrates you and your client's unlawful use of the court, Ms. Kaplan, right? So nothing gets ordered or issued. Now keep scrolling. So then Gloria Brock, the lawyer for the children. Now my children were 17, 16, and 14. Or at this point, they're 18, 16, and 14. Okay? They don't need a lawyer to speak for them. They are of age. They could speak for themselves. And yet the pedophile hires an attorney for the children who then just presents the pedophile's point to the court. It's sick. And they manipulate the kids. I have people filing a police report in my town to say that Gloria Marchetti Brock is going to my children and saying that if my children don't do what she says, that I'm going to go to jail. And that my kids are afraid that I'm going to go to jail. So that's why they won't talk to me. And so now she writes this and says, oh, the kids want an order of protection, which is total bullshit and not at all true. Right? But please assure me. She is just an agent of Brian Stryker Weinstein. She's my husband's agent.
They had been subject to his manipulation for a year by then.
Yeah, but this is still, they would never ask for the order of protection.
No, I understand.
This is just a handler. This is their handler. You understand?
Yeah.
This is their handler. And so then this order of protection gets issued. It gets issued ex parte again, which means only one side was heard. And then scroll down.
Keep going.
And you see it's issued right there. Stop there. Now you see it's issued April 16th, and then read that little notation down below.
Per 11th amended administrative order of the 9th Judicial District, para 9, the temporary order of protection, issued by this court on December 4th, 2020 was automatically extended to June 5th, 2021, the date it was recalendared on the same terms and conditions. A copy of the December 4th, 2020 TOP is attached.
Yeah, so that's all bullshit. Because you see that they asked for her to issue one and she didn't issue one. So it was not extended. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a brand new ex parte TOP that she then backdates to December 4th.
To try and connect the two. Mm-hmm.
And then they never even served this to me.
Right.
It was never served.
Right.
And then they instead, that's when they just pulled me over, pulled me out of my car, put me in handcuffs and impounded my car. Now keep going.
So they only posted it like on your, what do they call that?
They filed it into the case, but never served me. And within minutes, found out where I was driving, stalked me. The police stalked me, found out where I was driving, pulled me over, ripped me out of my car.
Yeah.
And then said, so it was issued, I think she uploaded it at 11:27 and at 2:17. So, 2 hours, not even 2 hours later, they've already found me, pulled me out of my car, and now they're arresting me. And you're going to see, if you scroll down, what they arrested me for. Okay. This is a new order of protection that they gave me, saying that I had to stay 1,500 feet away from my children. Now, 1,500 feet is reserved for violent offenders. And not only am I not a violent offender, I'm on record that the children are safe and thriving in my care. So This is the level at which our judges are abusing their power and using this simple piece of paper, which means shit. It means nothing. It's unlawful. But why does it have power and force? Because men with guns will come and arrest you.
Yeah.
Right? But it means shit. The militia will come and arrest you. And now, so you're like, well, what did they give this to her for? So keep scrolling up and I'll show you. Oh, and it also included my adult son, who's 18. Both of these orders of protection include my adult son.
He has to get his own,
can't issue him an order of protection without his petition to the court, which he did not petition. And also, they have to issue this with the petition showing how I violated the order of protection. Now, keep scrolling down. And this says that it says April 5th. You see, there's one that says April 5th. I can't see the small print on this. One says April 5th and one says April 7th.
This says April 16 up here at the top.
Yes,
where am I looking?
Because it talks about the offense, the date of the offense.
Okay. In this first paragraph here, right?
It might be, I can't read it. It might be
7th
down
day
below.
of April.
No, I think it's in the second paragraph down here. Does it say the date of the offense? What's the first line say?
The defendant did violate New York State Penal Law Section PL 215.50-3. I'm looking for a date.
Keep reading.
Subdivision 3, criminal contempt in the second degree. A person is guilty of criminal contempt in the second degree when he engages in any of the following conduct: intentional disobedience or resistance to the lawful process.
Yeah, it's not lawful. That's the key.
Yeah.
This is not a lawful process. This is an unlawful process. And it is when tyranny becomes law, resistance becomes duty. And not retaliation. What's the word? I'm forgetting the word. But does it say the date that it occurred? It's got to say in there somewhere.
Here in the next paragraph, it says the defendant's course of conduct on several different instances from April 7th, 2021 to April 15th, 2021 did violate an active temporary order of protection issued on 3/4/2021.
Yeah, so there was no order of protection issued.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's how dirty these cops are. This is how disgusting it is. And this guy, Stuart Halper, he's just a guy in my town. He's just a lawyer in my town that comes in one day a week. This guy is a kidnapper. This guy is a human trafficker. Our judges are kidnapping children, and they're using these bogus orders of protection with no evidence whatsoever and illegal orders on their face to kidnap and traffic your children to pedophiles and abusers. Wow. Now go to the next one. The next one says on April 5th. Now this is when Brian, I was parked on the street meditating to my kids. He found out where I was, came running towards me, and I drove away. And as I drove away, I said, "Stay away from me, pedophile." And then they gave me, so he broke the order of protection. I was stationary.
Because he rushed you.
He found me, came running towards me. He breaks the order of protection and then uses the police as a militia against me and says, "Oh, well, she talked to me. The order of protection said she can't talk to me." This is how sick and sadistic this man is.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is why. This is the sole reason I couldn't go to my kids' graduation. I couldn't go to their proms. These people are sick. These pedophiles are manipulating our courts and using them as criminal mechanisms of control to be able to abuse their victims. And their victims are both the children and the other adults who are trying to protect the children.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now I wrote to have these orders vacated. Okay, I wrote an order, and basically this judge says, "Oh, I can't tell if she wants an ex parte hearing or not an ex parte hearing, so I'm going to dismiss this entirely." Right? I said these orders are totally illegal. It was never served. It was never served to me. He says, "I'm going to dismiss them entirely." And now, if you scroll up, it says that I'm ordered that I can't file any more motions with the court. I'm a pro se litigant. What do you mean I can't file motions with the court?
Wow.
These people are just criminals. Louis LaBelle is a disgusting, horrific pedophile supporting child trafficker.
Wow.
My case is not unique.
No, it's not.
So, anyways,
That's
but
too bad.
yeah, this is just the other order of protection that he then keeps giving me. All of these are ex parte. So I'm never allowed. It's
Right.
a complete desecration of due process.
Right.
You're never allowed a chance to be heard. You're never given any due process whatsoever. Somebody just goes in, they make up a lie, and then they take your homes, they take your children, they take your assets, everything.
Yep. Wow. So
that happened on April 16th. So after that happened, I realized these cops are just so nasty, dirty, right? That I had to leave the state.
Right. Because they're going to punish you no matter what you try.
Yeah.
If you try and defend yourself at all, they're going to punish you.
Right. So I left and I moved to Connecticut. I then filed another federal lawsuit against my husband in May. I think it was around May 18th. And that lawsuit number is 7-21-CV, like Charlie Vegas, -04543. And that was a case of fraud. To talk about the fraud.
04543. Okay.
Yeah, to talk about the fraud in the appellate courts. Okay. I filed that case. And then 2 weeks later, the defendants in my federal case went to the court to get guardianship over me. So all the defendants, my husband, who has not had any contact with me in a year, besides that one time that he stalked me and ran towards me, or other times that he stalked me, he's had no contact with me whatsoever, goes to the court and says, "Oh, I need guardianship over her, to protect her."
Yeah.
But the conflict of interest is clear, right? I mean, he's my divorcing spouse and he's my legal adversary in multiple federal cases.
Right.
Didn't matter. They gave him, and all of his witnesses were defendants in my federal case. So the chief of police, the guy that falsely arrested me for not wearing a mask, the one that slammed the door on the back of me and then started saying that I was pushing him while I was standing straight, that guy came and testified against me. Roy Zerman, the court clerk, came and filed against me. Okay. Now I don't even know what they said because they won't give me access to the transcripts. It's sick. It's a complete desecration of due process, right? So instead they trafficked, and my husband asked for me to be placed in a long-term care facility and to be forced medications for the rest of my life for an indefinite period.
And is your divorce final?
Well, no, that was Janet. This was in the middle of the divorce. This was,
Okay.
he filed it in May of 2020, May of
Okay.
2021.
Is it final now?
From him. I'm sorry?
Is it final now? Sorry.
No, there's a fraudulent. So listen to what happened.
Okay.
So they assigned me a guardian of property. The guardian of property seizes all of my marital assets. He then, but he keeps trying to coerce me to go meet with him in New York. And I'm like, no, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to go meet with you. Like, you're a kidnapper. I'm not going to willfully participate in my own abuse. So then what he does is he goes bank to bank to bank to find any other assets that I have in my name that I was using I had saved $20,000 that I was using to feed myself. And he seizes it, closes the account. So now I have no money whatsoever.
How the fuck did he get his hands on it?
Because he's the guardian of property. But here's the problem. So that's TD Bank. TD Waterhouse is a company that the bank up in New York area. TD Bank suspected that it was fraud because I had an account there for over a year with all normal activity. So for him to come in and say, oh, she's incompetent and I have to seize these assets, they suspected that it was fraud, but they didn't notify me. They withheld notification of the fraud from me, so that I didn't have a chance to get an injunctive order or anything. And he then just went and stole all my money, seized all my assets. We're back in Nazi Germany. You understand? Nazi Germany. Your government wants your stuff, they just take it.
I know. Yeah.
It's batshit crazy. And so then I was writing to the court every day to be like, this guy's not giving me any money to eat or live. And he's a guardian. He's supposed to, right? He's not lawfully appointed. He's a fraudulent guardian. But
right.
He is still mandated to abide by the laws of a lawfully appointed guardian, which he's not. And that says that he has to provide me money for food and living, and he never did. And so then he kept trying to coerce me to participate the way he wanted with the divorce, and I wouldn't do it. And so then he withheld all money from me. So I couldn't, I had no way to get to the courthouse. I had no transportation. And he withheld all money from me, and then went to the courthouse, and the court said, oh, she didn't show up for this hearing, so I'm going to rule it default. She's in default. And now I'm going to dismiss her case. And then he processed a separate concealed divorce case from me. And I also forget to tell you, he went and withdrew all my federal cases against my husband. He withdrew them. Yep. All my federal cases against my husband, against the judges, against the police, he totally withdrew them.
Wow.
Yep. This is America. This is what's happening. Everybody's like, oh, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to get lots of money. No, you're not. Yeah. Because it's the judges that are propagating this war. It's the judges that are at the helm of this war. It's the judges. It's the judges that are desecrating our right. It's our judges. And we are paying their salaries to commit these awful crimes against us. So Louis Lubell dismissed my case, held a full trial on a new divorce case that wasn't even, there was not a motion for an RJI yet. And he yet had a hearing on it.
And obviously they didn't serve you anything over it.
Never served me. The whole thing's fraud, nothing. And then now this guy says he'll give me like some money when he feels like it every couple weeks, and he just doesn't do it. Seal stole all of my, like I said, like tens of millions of dollars of assets. Gone. It's not gone. Like, it's all fraud. So if they were following constitutional law, I should be able to get this whole thing overturned and get it all issued, back in my name. But that mandates that you have judges that are acting lawfully, and I don't know that we have that.
Right. Well, because there's probably too many that are on the same side for anybody who would have integrity to really stand up against.
Yep. Yeah, it's sick. So this guy denied me any money for food or living. This guardian, Kenneth L. Bunting, he's dirty, nefarious psychopath lawyer, and I will have you listened to some, and this is the other thing. He's a guardian of property. A divorce is a matter of person. He didn't represent my personal interest. So he couldn't have served my interest in the divorce. He couldn't have gone in and represented my interest in the divorce. You understand? The whole thing is fraud. It's sick. It's sick. And this is all being done by Brian Stryker Weinstein. Brian Stryker Weinstein, who is a Duke AB scholar. He's a Yale Law School graduate. He serves on the ethics board at Duke University. Duke University is propagating pedophilia, coercive control, and massive human rights violations. And my husband is at the helm.
Wow.
Sick.
So, I mean, what it really sounds like to me is you don't even know what you stumbled into. And you just barely scratched the surface of it, and you started telling him, hey, dude, like, I know you're doing some, and it's probably just barely the tip of the iceberg of what's actually going on and what he's probably involved in.
I firmly believe that my husband's a part of the New World Order. He's the lawyer for Morgan Stanley, and he and Eric F. Grossman started a new political organization called SAM, which is the Serve America Movement. It's also Uncle Sam, also son of Sam. He supports these satanic ideals. He supports pedophilia. He supports coercive control. My husband is by all means the most seductive type of devil that you can think of, because he seems so unthreatening. Right. That is his superpower. Right. You look at him and you meet him and you're like, oh my God, he's so nice. Like, he's like, oh, you saw my wife? How is she? I'm so worried about her. Yeah. And for a moment, you get caught up. You're like, oh, really? You're worried? Oh, you should call. And then you're like, wait a minute. Like, he's totally gaslighting me. He's not concerned about her. You put her in prison. You left her, like, with nothing, no food, no money, nothing. But like, what is going on? You know? Yeah. It's sick.
Is your husband, well, I mean, I would say probably obviously, but is your husband a Mason? Is he an initiated Mason?
I don't know that he is. He's Jewish. I know my grandfather was a Mason. And my grandfather on my mother's side, but it's funny, like growing up, like we just kind of knew, like the Mason halls were like the poor man's country club. You know what I mean? You'd have your weddings there. You would like we didn't think of it as, people ask me like, oh, did you have satanic? Yeah. I was like, no, I didn't have anything satanic. And then I stopped and think about it. And I was like, wait a minute. We had a Ouija board.
And you had no idea. Oh.
We had a Ouija board. And as a little kid, I remember going downstairs and our basement was just a concrete floor. And we would draw the circle and the star and do seances down there as little kids. I was like, where did we learn that from?
Yeah.
Why did we do that? That's weird. Right. Like, I remember being like little and doing that. Mm-hmm. Like 7 years old. I'm like, why would I be doing that? That's weird.
Right.
How would I have learned that?
Yeah. You were taught. Yeah.
But this, it's sick. It's sick. We live in a cult of pedophiles. We live in a cult of people who use pedophilia as a weapon against its own people and as a currency of the elite.
Absolutely. And so on that subject, before we got interrupted earlier, I remember, because I wrote it down, you were talking about Movie Star Planet and that your kids were put on this website or something. Can you go back to that?
Yeah, thank you for bringing me back to that. So in 2013, my children were placed on a Movie Star Planet by their teacher, Miss Mary Murray Jones at Hackley School. My children were in elementary school at the time. They were in 4th grade, in 3rd grade, and in kindergarten. This website has these private backroom chat rooms where they ask children to post videos and to post information about themselves. And the more information you post, the more movie star points you get. And the more movie star points you get, the more popular you become, and you become. Now, what the website, when you log in now, it shows like these sexy looking teenagers. Like, it's disgusting. It reeks of pedophilia. Back in 2013, what they did is it would have there'd be like a little girl in like a Cinderella dress, right? But as the child got more and more into the website, it would unlock certain things. And all of a sudden, like the Cinderella dress would turn into like a mesh top with like nipples showing and like a short mini skirt with wedge heels. And this is supposed to be, and it would say like the tagline at that time was like a place for love of children of all ages.
Fuck.
Right. And this is the other thing you should look up, girl. The one of the founders of Movie Star Planet is the chief security officer of Save Our Children,
Oh,
the
I'm
International
so not surprised.
Child Refugee Organization.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the Save Our Children, which purports to be an international child refugee organization, I actually think is a trafficking organization.
That's how it always
Jennifer
goes.
Gardner.
You know, didn't their phone number actually go right to the Clintons' campaign headquarters?
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't verify that. I don't. I
Okay.
don't want to. I want to speak in integrity about it. I have no idea. But yeah, you should look at that. So I went down to DC to Save Our Children to try and investigate this and to find out about this guy. And they literally got security and ushered me out of the building.
And so your kids showed up on this website, though? How did you find out about that?
They were put on the website by their computer teacher at the Hackley School, by Miss Murray Jones. Okay. And so I found out about it because they were on the website at home, which I only allowed them to be on the website because they said it was something that they did at school. So I thought, oh, schools definitely check this out. You had a false sense of security about it, right?
Yeah.
And then you get on it and you realize, no, they actually didn't check it out, or they're willfully putting our children on these pedophile phishing websites. Right. And so I went to the school and I asked the school to send a notice out to the other parents to warn them about the website. And Walter Johnson, who was a headmaster at the time, refused to send out an email to the parents, told me I wasn't being a good citizen of Hackley, and wanted a list of all of the officers that I spoke to directly. Right. And when I refused to give that to him, he then issued a letter saying that I was no longer allowed on campus and my children would only be allowed to continue. Now, by the way, school was in recess. So this happened in the beginning of May. And then like within 2 weeks, school was out and all of the stuff that was going on was occurring while school was out. Right. And with me saying, Walter, this doesn't make sense to me. Why aren't you notifying the other parents? And then my whacked out husband, that's when his gaslighting started. That's when he was like,
so this is what was in 2013.
2013.
I see.
And that's when he's like, oh, Lizzie, you're bipolar. You need to go see somebody. You're bringing pain to our family. And I was like, I'm not bipolar, you motherfucker. Like, you're just having Stockholm.
And by then you knew that
out.
He had been molested and that he, now his talk that he did for that guy that molested him, this was before 2013 when he did the retirement. Okay.
Yes. And so in 2013, I just thought he was having a visceral reaction to the topic of pedophilia and therefore was trying to gaslight me, which was true that he was having a visceral topic, reaction, but he also was a pedophile himself. And now he's watching his own wife take down pedophiles in the town.
Right. And that was just not going to do.
And he's freaking out and he's like, how do I stop her? And so he goes along with the school and tries to so there's no protection of the children. Again, you have to understand how they work, right? I'm thinking, okay, here's my Yale Law School husband. He's been kind of a puss earlier and he doesn't do anything to protect the kids. But now he's going to go after the school.
Yeah. No.
Didn't go after the school, came after me. You're crazy. Right. You're bringing shame to our family. Mm-hmm. He's psycho. And I didn't see through it. You would think that I would be like, start connecting the dots and be like, oh my God. But I never even considered it. I didn't even consider it. And then that's when, so for 6 months, he kept trying to say that I was crazy. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. You're gaslighting me. No, you guys, no. I'm so worried about you. And then one day he comes on his knees to the side of my bed and he has a picture of us. And I can't remember if it was a picture of our family or just a picture of me and him, but to my knees, and he's crying and he's like, please, Lizzie, please, I need help. Please, will you come with me to go? Will you please come with me? And I was like, finally he recognizes that he's got to deal with his past trauma and and I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. Of course I'll go with you, Bri. And then I get in there and it's this Catherine Michaels and she's like, oh, I'm so glad that both of you came today. Brian, you're totally fine. Lizzie, you're bipolar and you need to go on lithium. Just like that. Like, just like in the first 5 minutes of the car. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, you people are gaslighting me. And then I was sending him notices. You're gaslighting me. You're gaslighting me. And he even included all of this in the court documents. She says I'm gaslighting her from the very beginning to cover up my pedophilia. He puts it in there. And the court still does whatever he wants. Yeah. Because the courts protect pedophiles. And so this website has been allowed to continue. And it's grown in popularity. You used to be able to find stories of other news stations running stories on this website about how children were being solicited for anal sex, sexual acts, like the parents were finding all these back chat rooms, right? I then found out that my husband had a monthly subscription to this website. And he was getting billed by, guess who? Save the Children. So Save the Children was billing him $20 a month for going on Movie Star Planet. And he would go on as this person called Jesse. Because Jesse can be a little boy or a little girl, you see? Androgyny. Mm-hmm. Satan loves androgyny. Yeah. And that's what started, this whole. Yeah.
And so when did you find that out? That he was going to the website and that he was being billed for it? What year was that?
That's in May of 2020. That's when this whole thing, that's when I woke up. Like in May of 2020, I then realized that my husband himself was a pedophile. It was the first time I stopped and asked myself the question.
The possibility, when you even consider that, you can't help it. It says something about you and about who you married. I've been there and did the same thing with my husband with I can't believe this is who I chose to have kids. Right. I picked him.
Right. Well,
so we go through all that and we don't allow these thoughts to really, they peek up and there's that nagging voice and you're like, something's really off, like beyond off. But the things that come up in your mind, you go, man, that's just not no.
You don't consider it. It's the willful blindness.
It is.
So now let's talk about that. I think that willful blindness, I think that's the demon coming forward inside of us, because I think when we get molested, we have these demonic entities, and the demonic entities try to make us an abuser. They try to make us, right? But when we choose with our free will, yes, I was abused, and now I'm going to be a protector. Because I was abused, I will be a protector. Right. When we choose that with our free will, then those demonic entities stay inside of us, but then they show up as lack. You're not worthy. You can't do it. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough for this. You're not a good enough mother. Right? They show up as lack and as self-doubt. And they show up to hide and to give us the willful blindness.
Absolutely.
So that we don't consider the evidence that would get to the truth of our life. So this demonic entity, I never even stopped and asked myself the question, could my husband be a pedophile? I never asked. Right. Never even considered it. And the very day that I asked was the day my whole life made sense. Was the day I could never understand. And the anxiety.
When you asked yourself, when you finally really let yourself ask yourself,
could he be a pedophile?
And then did everything
made sense
into your awareness, and it just started to build that picture.
And then I found his online pedophilia content. found his sexual solicitation. I mean, it's
So
bad.
more than just
I,
the movie star planet stuff, what else did you find on for his online?
Well, I don't go into all the details of this stuff. Like I said, I don't
Okay.
disclose things that I haven't disclosed because then he creates this backstory.
Sure.
But
I understand.
then, you know, everything in my life made sense. Why he was gaslighting me every time the topic of pedophilia came up. Why my children used to throw up when he would come home from dinner. Why he would seek them out naked. You know, why he would walk in on them in the shower. Why when I would try and have talks with my kids at night, he would come busting in the room and be like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Max? If I find out that you were saying anything, I'm going to know."
What?
And I was just like, and at the time, I thought that he was jealous that Max and I were so close.
Yeah.
And that Max was talking to me. No, he was protecting himself.
Right.
It's sick.
Yeah.
This is a grown man. Think of a grown
Right.
man busting in the room of an 8-year-old who is like finally brave enough to tell his mother. And the fucking pedophile comes busting in, slams open the door, and stands there with his arms crossed and with his legs spread wide. What are you talking about, Max? What are you talking about?
I'm so sorry.
I mean, like, how could I have missed it? How could I have missed it, you know? Like, I
We're
look back and I'm
groomed our
like,
entire lives to just glaze over the things that trigger us, you know? And
I think it's the demons. I think the
It
demons
is.
get us to look away from it.
and it's
Sick.
school, and it's abusive parents, and it's organized religion, and it's all these things that make it's the world we live in. And Satan,
It's a cult.
Lucifer, is the prince of the power of air. He's the god of this world, you know?
No, he's not. And we are stronger than him.
It
But we
says-
all need to stand up against him. We all need to bring...
Of course, I choose
Yeah.
the Most High God. I choose my Creator. But my Creator has said that he's the prince of the power of air, that he's the God of this world. We live in a fallen world. And all I'm saying is that's why we have to turn to God.
Yeah,
The Most High.
I think that we have an opportunity here to create, sorry, honey.
You're good.
I think we have an opportunity here to create a better humanity and to fully rid ourselves of these low vibrational beings that live in fear, greed, manipulation, control, right? That we can live beyond those low vibrations and we can transcend and be able to manifest a better humanity. I firmly believe that we can, but it requires each and every one of us to exercise our demons and to face the trauma that we were in. And again, like people think like, oh, facing the trauma is really, really difficult. No, suffering through the trauma was difficult. Facing the trauma gives you strength. Absolutely. It gives you fortitude. It's one of those bullshit things that the predator switches on you in your brain. Oh, to face your trauma is hard. No, it's not. Once you've already gone through it, the fact that I'm alive today means that I've outlived it. So I don't have to be afraid of death, right? I don't have to be afraid of dying from that trauma. I've outlived it. So therefore, I don't have to have the fear, and I can instead just have the information. I can instead look for the patterns of behavior that protect me then from other sources of danger, right? But if you don't face what was causing the danger, then you're never able to recognize the patterns. So, listen, I feel very strongly that this is my mission in life, to educate people about how normalized pedophilia is, how it is a weapon. And people are like, oh, what do you mean it's a weapon against society? Well, you have to understand, pedophilia teaches you to love your abuser. It teaches you to deny your abuse. It teaches you to live in shame and fear of shame and fear of betrayal your whole life. You are so easily manipulated by shame that I will just call you a name in public, like say that you're selfish, and you won't breathe right for the rest of your life. You'll wear a mask for the rest of your life just to prevent being called a name in public for public shame. I mean, it's so stupid. It's not how I operate, but it's how many people operate.
Right.
It's and it's that is what your predator teaches you from a very young age, is that the fear of betrayal and shame is so strong that you can be easily manipulated. And betrayal, because where is there a greater betrayal than the person who holds your hand while they cross the street and feeds you and gives you, you know, a warm place to live, also coming in and sexually or mentally abusing you?
Right.
Where is there a greater betrayal
Well,
than
and
that?
now we're living in a world where it's so normalized that people are accepting that teachers are talking to their kids about this shit in school. The sexual programming happening in school right now is absolutely mind-blowing. I never thought we'd live in a world where this was so widely accepted. It's disgusting.
Well, we're on a mission. The plan of the New World Order is to make children wards of the state. So the first thing they have to do is break the maternal-child bond. That's the first thing. So you go back and you start looking at some of the TV programming that we have, because that's where they first get us. They program us, right, to manifest things, to project things.
You're in a state of hypnosis only 7 seconds after you watch television.
Yeah. So look at like 2.5 Men. Look at 3 Men and a Baby. There's all of these. So the first thing they do is they remove the maternal-child bond from the normalization of a family dynamic, okay? Then they have the child with an abuser, right? And then they'll take the child from the abuser and traffic them into, they're like, listen, you either share the victim, right? We want equal access to that victim, or we're going to take the child away from you too and put the child in foster care, okay? And that's what's happening right now. The state, they are giving the state more rights over our sons and daughters than mothers and fathers have. And I use those words importantly because they want us to use parents and children. They are our sons and daughters, and we are their mothers and fathers, right? And so we see this just even in the lowering the age of consent, lowering the age of consent for these forced biological weapons that they're injecting our children with, right? Like, and this is all by a government which is only supposed to be there to enforce our rights. The government is our employee. The government is our employee that is there to enforce our rights. And instead, what we've done is we've given them full tyranny over us.
Yeah.
And we have to, it's time we take our power back.
People have been too concerned about what movies are coming out and what their celebrities are doing for far too fucking long. And they've gotten complacent, and people don't pay attention to what's going on. They don't care enough to speak out because they're worried that their neighbor isn't speaking out. They don't care enough to say anything about, you know, the pedophiles, the conditioning and the grooming that's happening in schools because, you know, the majority of people aren't. So they're not going to say anything either because they don't want to be ostracized. You know, they're too concerned about what does everybody think about me. And people need to, if they want to be done with this fear porn kind of life, you have to start with not giving a shit what anybody thinks of you. You got to toss that in the trash. You can't have it. It won't work.
Yep. I completely agree because they use that you have to be willing to just stand in your own integrity no matter what. And if you're and you need to get your what's the word I'm looking for? It's not your inside, it's not justification, your validation. Sorry. You need to get your validation from the inside and not from the outside. And when people are like, oh, I don't need outside validation, I never needed that. Well, that's bullshit too. Because we all agree when we get the outside validation, like you and I, having an understanding of what we're talking about without having to go into detail, like that there's like a level of knowing and of understanding. It's so yummy. It's delicious, right? But when you need it, when you will waver if you don't have it, that's when you're in trouble. So instead, just say, listen, I don't need the outside validation. I get it from myself. But I appreciate it when I get it. It's yummy. I'm thankful, you know?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So I think, where we go with this is we have to first and foremost understand that the judges are at the helm of this war. Like, they're the ones propagating the mask mandates. They're the ones, with the lockdowns. They're the ones that are advancing these unconstitutional rules and giving police the quote unquote authority, but they really don't, because they don't have the authority to enforce unlawful mandates. Right. But it gives them plausible deniability to do that, and most people don't know their rights, and then they just stand up to it. The saying is, when tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. And that's where we are right now. Yeah. Rebellion becomes duty. We have to rebel because these people do not care for us. They are not trying to help us. And we are in a boatload of shit if we don't stand up and fight for a better humanity for all of us. I know a lot of people who will mortgage their children's future so that they can have some comfort now. Every time I see a mother put a mask on a little baby. No
kidding. Ugh.
Right? It makes me want to throw up. It's child abuse.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
It's child abuse. And or forced vaccinations. It's child abuse. And I think of this constantly. But you get to the point where you're just like, okay, they're either going to wake up or they're not. It's my job to keep speaking truth. And it's my job to hunt down those that are propagating this. But everybody has free will here. And they can decide which one they want to choose. And they can decide that they want to become enslaved. And they can be happy with their slavery.
Yeah, I know it.
And that's their choice. But for me, I will never mortgage my children's future for a little bit of comfort for my own. Because it doesn't give me any comfort. It's fleeting.
It's not real in any way. And it's not going to be there for not even 2 seconds. It's not real.
Correct.
Lie.
Exactly.
And as you well know, it can be, anything they promise can be taken away just as fast as it was falsely promised.
Right.
So.
We need to start building the world that we want. We need to take our children out of these schools.
Absolutely.
Because I keep saying, even if you win on these mask mandates, where you get the school to capitulate and say, okay, we're not going to have the children wear masks anymore.
Doesn't matter. Those were the people that were willing to go that far to put a mask on your fucking kid and to program and all this, what's your preferred gender? And if your parents don't know, it's okay. We'll cut your tits off, never. They wouldn't let me tie my tubes at 21 years old when I thought I didn't want to have any kids because they can't do that. But now they'll cut your daughter's tits off at 16.
No.
They'll chemically castrate your son.
Yep.
So, I absolutely agree. People have to take their kids out of school.
We're dividing.
Go ahead and keep fighting it with the schools, but take your kids out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Regardless.
That's what I keep saying.
Yeah.
We're dividing. We're showing a divide in this world. We're showing the people who are satanic and the people who choose God and the people who choose freedom and the people who choose sovereignty. And I don't know what's going to happen once we get to our, full divide, but I know that this is part of the process. And the sooner we separate, because what they do is every time they tighten the noose and we fight back hard, they loosen it just a little bit. Right. So that's why they're loosening up all these mask mandates now.
Totalitarian tiptoe, which is basically a sprint right now for sure. But it's just like that. It's boiling frogs.
Yep. Exactly. Babe, I am so grateful to know you. I am so grateful for your work. And listen, I firmly believe that I'm manifesting my destiny. I firmly believe that I was put here, that I was stardust energy up in the sky, and I saw what was going on, and I was like, not on my watch. And I came in, and I embodied at this place and at this time, as did you, so that we could come and we lived through the life experiences that we have, so that we would get to this point right now where we can take on this war together, and where we can educate people.
That God has a plan for us and that he's got his hand on us and that with that, for me, I can only speak for myself. I'm here to do the will of God, my creator, like the Most High God, the creator of everything. And his will is not this.
Yeah, no, this is not, that's what I keep saying. I was like, God does not want this.
No.
God does not want this. God does not want me living without my children, separated from my home, separated from everything that I know and love, and struggling.
Yeah.
This is not, this is just to bring attention to this issue so that people can realize the tyranny in which we live. This is not just a, guardianships are not just a Britney Spears issue. They enslaved a woman who employed hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. They enslaved
who's well
her.
enough to perform like 6 or 7 days a week.
For 13 straight years. And we all did nothing. Right? So shame on us. And now it's time to get to work. Now it's time to turn the spotlight on the judges, because everybody's been talking about the father and people are talking about that. No, it's the judges that are propagating this war. It's the judges that are committing this crime. And we give the judges
that doesn't
their
mean
power.
you don't hold everybody accountable. It just means that you got to look up, because this is a structure. And it was put in place a long time ago, and they've got people convinced that this country was built on Christian values, and it's not freaking true, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the big sale that we were all sold, but it wasn't really true. A bunch of Masons got together and decided this shit. And so this is, Satan's had all the time in the world to pull all this together, but God wins. And so good people have to do something for that to happen, and that's his will. So I'm so glad that you called. I'm glad that this worked out today. I hope you keep me posted. I hope we stay
I will always.
contact.
No, we're in this to win it now.
Okay.
And people can find me on Lizzie's Army, Lizzies, Lizzie's Army, ARMY.com. My husband's name is Brian Stryker Weinstein. Write to the Duke University Keenan Institute for Ethics. Go watch the videos of the arrest. Go watch the videos of him talking about his pedophilia and agreeing to stay away from children, and then having me kidnapped and trafficked and kidnapping our children. Like, go understand that we are condoning our high institutions, and we are purporting legitimacy and respect to satanic ritual organizations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're the Blue Devils. They are the Blue Devils. They're the Jesuits. How much more obvious can it be? And we need to stop that. We need to get to a point where we can actually stop purporting respect and legitimacy because they make it seem like it's a club we want to belong in.
Right.
We need to stand in our own integrity and build a world outside of those false and baseless, but very seductive clubs and organizations and higher institutes for learning that all these pedophiles all build, and then they link arms with each other and try and purport legitimacy to each other. And it's scary when you come up against one of them, because there's only one of you, and they all stand up and link arms because they know they need each other in order to keep this lie alive, in order for people to live in denial, right? And you just have to remember that the truth that you possess is stronger than any power that they have. And you call truth to light, and you call that power forward every single time, and you will never, ever regret it. You never regret being brave.
Absolutely.
And so thank you, girl. I appreciate
You're so
it.
welcome.
Lizzie's Army, right to Duke University.
You'll text me all of the places people can get a hold of you and what you want me to put in the description. And we'll provide that there so that if anybody needs to get in touch with you, and hopefully a lot of people need to get in touch with you, because we know that there are people that are going through the same thing, or at least similar enough that they need to connect. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Please be safe.
And thank you for what you do. And thank your son for supporting.
I'm lucky.
We're going to change this. We have to.
Blessed.
Right? We have to. There's
no other choice.
Way. Yes, exactly.
There's no other choice.
Right.
No. All right, Lizzie. Okay. It's been an amazing talk.
Yes.
We'll talk soon. We're going to do this again.
Please stay on my story, because my judge is Robert M. DeBella.
Okay.
Robert M. DeBella. Look him up in Westchester County, New York. And he has a motion in front of him to vacate this guardianship. And this guy is not moving. He's just playing dirty games. He knows that I'm competent. He knows that I'm capable. Look, my competency is self-evident. My competency is self-evident. You have to talk to me for 5 minutes to know that this is all just a farce. And this is just nothing other than a tool of expediency for a domestic violence abuser to further control and abuse his victim after I got away from him. And it's sick. And if we are desecrating our laws like this, so obviously in the public view, then we're in a world of hurt. I know I'm going to survive it, like as I have so far. But like, you've got to ask yourself, like, is it easier for me to stand up and fight to get this woman out of guardianship than it is for me to fight when they put me in one? Because they're coming for all of us.
Yeah, I know it.
And so I'll share information about my case. I'll send you my dockets and stuff. And people, please keep an eye out for it. And you can find me on lizziesarmy.com. You can find me, although I haven't updated that website in a while, you can find me on Free Lizzie Harding. And please, hashtag Free Lizzie Harding. Hashtag Free Lizzie Harding for everything that you do. And let's try and get attention on this issue.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And then we'll probably have to split this into 2 so that it uploads nicely and is digestible, but it might take me a couple of days to edit and stuff, but there's not going to be much editing. It's going to be pretty raw. So it's just how it goes. Okay. Free Lizzie Harding. Love to you.
And I'll get those links to you.
Posted. All right. Fantastic.
Thanks, babe.
We'll talk again soon.
Mwah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.